A lot of different types of investing, anything from learning how to buy, sell, and broker mortgage notes. The investors in this group make money with tax liens and tax deeds. Many of us are flipping. We've done some raw land development, Airbnb arbitrage, wholesaling. There are so many ways that everyday people like you and me are making money within the real estate investing space. All right. Now, what I want to do real quick, just to get some inventory of you guys, do me a favor, because I want to make sure today's fruitful for everybody hanging out with me. Um, Let me know kind of what you classify yourself as. Either you're a B for beginner, you've done 0 to 5 real estate investing deals, B for beginner. I for intermediate, you've done 5 to 10 deals, or A for advanced. You've done 30 plus real estate investing transactions, and you're here looking to grow an existing business, because I just want to be mindful of everyone on. Okay, cool. Ben, I don't know if this is going to be the best use of your time, my friend. It might not be a good use of your time. You're the only advanced investor on. And Larry, okay, we got two. If you're advanced, what type of deals are you guys doing? And what's one thing that would help you take your business to the next level today? Because I want to be able to provide value to everybody hanging out with us. Cool. All right, I'm going to share my screen. I've got a pretty good plan in place for us to go over, and we'll get started. Yeah, and if you want to just type in the chat box, like what are some things that are you looking for help for? If you've done 30 plus investing transactions and you're looking to grow, because this group has helped people 10x their existing revenue or profits. Yeah, I'm glad your mic isn't working, because the chat box is fine. Okay. So if you're, what's one thing that would take your business to the next level? Okay. So I'm gonna open up my chat box here, and we'll get started. And guys, there's no stupid question. You can ask anything. Like I said, we're gonna be going through our business model and how others can plug in and play with us. Uh, all right, here we go. So the office you see here on my screen is one of our offices in Chicago. I live in Virginia, and I actually found this business model over a decade ago, and I, for lack of better words, copied it. And so we're looking for entrepreneurs, people who are already investing or people who want to get involved in investing, and we're creating groups of people that are working together and doing deals across the country. Now, three main things that we're going to cover today. I'm going to do some trainings on business and entrepreneurship. We're going to do some trainings on real estate investing, and then how a group functions and the opportunity of you earning some cash. We realize that not everyone has a ton of money, and we didn't want to make anyone feel bad for being broke. In fact, if you are struggling with money right now, it's because of the way the system is structured, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. As I go through this, chat boxes are going to stay open, so feel free to ask anything. So a quick disclaimer before we get started, the information shared here is for explanation purposes only. Any projection of growth or income does not imply that such growth or income is typical or easy to build or even possible for some people. We're going to show you guys how you can create cash flow and become wealthy in real estate. But nothing comes from nothing, right? It does take some effort and some work and some smarts on your end. All right, so let's talk about this first. So many of you guys said you were beginners. Let's talk about the four main strategies that you're going to use to make money as a real estate investor. Four main strategies. Now, I want to preface this by saying, guys, you can make money in the real estate investing space with none of your own money or credit. You could do any strategy that I'm going to present today with none of your own money and none of your own credit. My last 15 deals I've done without any of my own money or credit, but I just want to throw that out there. And today, if we have time, I'm going to talk about how deals can be structured without you necessarily having to use your own money or credit, but it does take something, all right? So the four main ways that you're going to make money in real estate investing, if you're new to this, write it down. So there's wholesaling. You can wholesale property and make pretty good money wholesaling. This is where a lot of novices start, not knowing that there are other ways to do deals with no money and no credit. There is fixing and flipping. Now, when you're flipping properties, you're buying, excuse me, guys, you're buying properties at deep discounts, and then you're selling them for hopefully big profits. So there's wholesaling, flipping, buy and hold. You can buy property and hold on to it. And then money lending slash understanding how to invest in mortgage notes. Okay. Money lending, investing in mortgage notes. I'm going to say these again for those of you that are brand new. Wholesaling, flipping, buy and hold, money lending, and notes. Now let's break these down a little bit further. When you're doing strategies like wholesaling, flipping, raw land development, they're going to help you earn what we call active income or larger chunks of money. By doing fix and flips and wholesaling, investors make 100 grand a deal, 50 grand a deal. You can make $500,000 a deal. But these strategies are going to make you larger chunks of money. Now, when you get into like tax liens, rentals, notes, these type of strategies are going to make you more of a passive income. And what we try to help people become, because you don't want to just learn how to do one strategy. If you want to be wealthy in real estate, you're going to learn to become a transactional engineer. All right. A transactional engineer. What happens in different markets all across the country, or even in like the real estate market, the stock market, the cryptocurrency market, what happens, guys, is markets go up and down, right? Markets go up and markets go down. The reason why I chose to build my wealth in real estate investing is because, guys, you can make money in real estate regardless of if we're in an upswing or if we're in a downswing, or even if the market's just stagnant. Okay. And this is why you want to learn to become a transactional engineer, right? Now imagine if you only knew how to do is wholesale. If you only know one strategy, you're stuck there. But if you know how to be a transactional engineer, you'll understand how to pivot and go into a fix and flip type of scenario. Now imagine you're flipping a house and rates just skyrocket, right? And maybe your house is sitting there and you're like, man, I cannot sell this property within 12 months. Where this is where most novices would lose money, not you, because you're going to understand how to transition into a rental type of scenario. Now, if you're ever in a rental earning passive income, but maybe you have a family emergency, you never want to be stuck in any type of transaction. You could learn how to literally create a mortgage note, okay? And you can sell that mortgage note to a note buyer. And people buy, sell, and broker mortgage notes all the time. I have a portfolio of notes that I own and make passive income off of. But you could take that rental and you can sell the mortgage note to a note buyer who wants to earn a yield in, for example, their retirement account, okay? So I'm going to stress this a lot today. I'm going to talk about the importance of you understanding how to be a transactional engineer. So you want to have a high level overview of how this massive game of real estate investing works. And then based off of your personality and what some of your goals are, you want to specialize in something. Like me and my family, we specialize, I do money lending and I do mortgage notes. Like that's my bread and butter. So instead of someone having to go to a traditional bank, maybe they can't get approved from a traditional bank for a loan, they can come to someone like me, and I essentially buy houses cash and then resell it to people at a higher purchase price, right? Because sometimes not everyone's bankable. Okay, so I wanted to give you this high level overview. Hopefully I didn't confuse you, but if you're gonna get started in the real estate investing space, I want you to understand that yes, you want to make active income and then reinvest some of your profits into passive income strategies. If you do this over time, you can retire early, right? Most people can retire from a full-time job, I would say, on average, within 5 to 7 years. Okay, you can replace your income from a traditional job, but it doesn't happen overnight. Okay. Okay, perfect. If you have any questions, make sure to type them into the chat box and I will address them for you guys. Larry, I'm glad you're here because we're going to go through some really good basics today. All right. So these are basics, right? You want to understand that there's multiple strategies, and then you want to dive into, after understanding real estate investing, the strategies that make sense for you for where you're at right now, because everyone's at a different place. Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit. I wanted to start the training off by giving everyone a high-level overview of the real estate investing space. But the next thing that we're going to cover is taxes. Okay, as a new business owner, as a new real estate investor, or just as an American, taxes are going to be the biggest expense that you encounter through your life. Okay, so today I want to start showing you guys how to pay less in taxes. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this training is called the Tax Matrix, and I'm gonna actually play all the numbers out. If you're brand new to business and real estate investing, when I say go, take a screenshot of this. Ready, set, go. Grab a screenshot of this, okay, guys? Because what I'm about to do is I'm about to help you restructure your relationship with the IRS. Okay. Now, what I used to do is, before I got into this whole investing thing, I used to run all of my money through my social security number. When I did that, I was basically owned and controlled by the government, right? Because I ran all of my money through my social security number. Okay. So when I signed up for my job, if you currently have a job right now, like a W-2 position, I'm assuming that you signed up for that W-2 position through your social security number. What happens with most Americans is they pay anywhere from 33 to sometimes even 40% of their money to the IRS before they get to lay eyes on that paycheck. So what happens, and what was happening to me, it might be happening to you, is a third of our money is gone before we even get to cash the check. Okay. Now, as Americans, we're conditioned, psychologically conditioned to spend what we make, right? They've got words for it. It's called consumerism, right? So if a third of your money is gone before you get to see your paycheck, and then you're conditioned to spend what you earn, there are other taxes after income tax. Like after income tax, there's personal property tax, there's sales tax, there's unemployment tax, there's Medicare tax. There's a lot of taxes that us Americans pay. So after getting your money siphoned from your paycheck before you get to see it, and then after you spending it on stuff you might not need, there's life tax. So that's all those other taxes. And then if you're able to save money, which is super difficult, especially nowadays, money that sits in your savings account is getting eaten alive by the hidden tax. And can someone type into my chat box what the hidden tax is? What's the hidden tax that most Americans don't think about? Anyone know what it's called? Yes, Jim. Yeah. The hidden tax is inflation, right? Because if you have money that you manage to save, that money is devaluing because of inflation, right? So this is a process. This is the process of owning stuff, okay? Somewhere along the line, you're going to realize that wealthy people own nothing. They don't own anything. They've just learned how to control everything. And the first thing that you're going to learn how to control as a beginner real estate investor is your income, okay, guys? Your income. So as a new investor, you're going to start, and we'll show you how, if you want to hang out with us every week, we're going to show you how to not earn it through your social security number, but start earning income through properly structured businesses, like through an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, a trust, even a foundation. Like, have you noticed how the wealthiest people on the planet all have a foundation? Like some examples, like the Rockefeller Foundation or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, right? And it's not because these people are super nice. It's just that they understand the American system, all right? So I showed you what you may be doing right now, and I want to help you change that. How do I explain this to you? So I've built some houses and sold them for profit. On the last house that I built and sold, It was a lake house. I made $80,000 of profit. Okay. So I bought it, I did the deal. After that deal was completed, the title company or the attorney wired me $80,000. So that 80 grand, guys, it didn't get taxed up front. I did not pay taxes on that $80,000. That $80,000 went directly into my business bank account. I love getting paid up front, right? Now, we're down here as an employee. I spent money. I don't spend money as a business owner. I've learned how to use money. All right. Notice how the verbiage will start shifting, right? Now, what do I mean by that? Guys, what business owners do, smart ones anyways, what they do is they take advantage of the 200 plus tax deductions that are available according to the IRS rules and regulations. So the difference between me before I got into real estate investing and what I do now is this, guys, is I make decent money up front. I take advantage of all the deductions that are available. And then what happens to investors is, guys, we get taxed on what's left over at the end of the year instead of getting taxed heavily up front. Okay. Now, why is this important for beginners to understand? Guys, it's important because as you start doing this process, it's going to allow you to live a life by design instead of submitting to a life by default. What we do here with our group and team is we try to teach people how to be more intentional about how they spend their life, right? Now, I really want you guys to understand this before I move on. So let's say like I bring in $900,000, okay? Maybe I'm doing some Airbnb arbitrage. Maybe I've fixed and flipped an apartment building. I'm making money as an investor. And let's say that I bring in 900 grand. So that $900,000 hits my business bank account. Now, if that $900,000 is not called income, who can type into my chat box what that $900,000 would be classified as? What, because I just want you to see the words are going to shift as you graduate into learning how to control your life and your income. Will Fritz, James Day, passive earnings. Okay. I'm looking for another word, like a business word. Okay. Gross income, that could pass. That's what I was looking for. Josh, K. Yeah, that 900 grand is technically classified as revenue, guys. But now at the end of the year, I get to tell the IRS how much they can take instead of them just taking it from me without me having any say, right? So let's say I tell the IRS that, guys, I had $875,000 of quote unquote expenses, right? And you might be thinking, well, Umair, what could be classified as an expense? Guys, literally anything. Like, I don't own my cell phone. I don't own my laptop. I don't own my vehicles. I don't even own my own house. I rent my own house from my own S corporation. Are you guys picking up what I'm trying to put down here? Like, for example, if I take a trip to Fiji, Fiji's beautiful, but if I take my family on a trip to Fiji, as long as I'm looking at real property to purchase in Fiji, did you guys realize that the trip, the entertainment, the meals, a lot of the money that I spend becomes a tax deduction? So in this scenario, 900 comes in, 875 goes out because I tell the IRS what my expenses are. In this scenario, guys, I would be taxed on the $25,000 left over at the end of the year instead of the $900,000 up front. But the whole year, I'm living my best life. I'm calling the shots. I'm spending time with my family. I'm doing the things that I want to do. You guys getting this? If you're understanding this, please put a Y in the chat box because this is really the first step to begin like shifting your mindset and your money in your life. Okay, cool. And if I say something that you don't believe is true, just kind of call me out on it. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm just very logical. And I'm like, I tell my friends and family, I'm like, guys, you cannot afford to continue only to work a job. As I've seen thousands of investors get into this space, including myself, most people start part-time until they start making a ton of money in the business. All right. So it's not a happen overnight thing. No worry, Terry. I love that your transparency. Terry says, I'm new to this and trying to understand. I'm gonna make sure you understand. Judah says, can I ask my employer to use my EIN? No, you can't. Your EIN is basically a social security number of your business. Okay, so we can help you to understand how to create a business, which then can have an EIN number. All right, so I want to make sure Terry gets this. So let's do one more example. All right. So let's compare two different types of people. All right. Let's compare um Jason and Terry. Okay, so Terry's got a regular job. T for Terry and J for Jason. Terry, you make $100,000 a year at your W-2 job. Okay, Terry. And if you have a 30% tax bracket, you're gonna pay old Uncle Sam $30,000 before you get to lay eyes on that paycheck. Okay. Now, Terry, let's say you have $70,000 of expenses because you spend most of what you make. Now, Terry, in this scenario, you would have no money left over at the end of the year. Poor Terry. So let's compare Terry to Jason, the business owner. Now, Jason brings in $100,000 just like you, Terry. But the biggest difference between Terry and Jason is Jason's money is not called income. Jason's money is called revenue. Remember that? Now, if Jason has $70,000 in expenses, just like Terry, because I want to compare apples to apples. Okay. The big difference between Jason and Terry is this. Jason gets taxed on his, hold on, someone came unmuted, so let me unmute him. Jason gets taxed not on his revenue. Jason gets taxed on his AGI. And if you guys don't understand what AGI stands for, it stands for adjusted gross income. So business owners get taxed after their expenses. Okay. So if Jason has a 30% tax bracket, just like Terry, because we're comparing apples to apples, Jason would pay 10% of $30,000. I'm sorry, Jason would pay 30% of $30,000, not 30% of 100. Isn't that cool? Now, in this scenario, Jason would write the government or the IRS a check for 10 grand, okay? 10 grand gone. But this is the best part. Jason would have $20,000 left over in his business bank account at the end of the year. Isn't that cool? Anyone want money left over at the end of the year? Anyone? Anyone? Or is it just me? It's just me. Guys, I absolutely love having money left over at the end of the year. But now that in this scenario, Jason is a smart businessman, real estate investor, Jason's not going to let that 20 grand just sit there, is he? No, smart money never sits, guys. Only uneducated money sits. Jason would use this 20 grand this is an example. He would use this 20 grand as a down payment on another rental property, okay? Now, that rental property will make Jason and his family more passive income, so we'll make more income. But this is the best part. Jason will also begin to build long-term generational wealth. Are you guys starting to see that the things that everyday ordinary Americans do and the things that business owners and investors tend to do, they are dramatically different, okay? Terry, did that help you understand? Let me know, because you know, I want to be able to help, right? Okay, cool. Cool. Thanks for telling me. So guys, these are some of the things that you got to get your head around, right? It's like, okay, like, did anyone ever get rich working a job? No, I wouldn't say so. Maybe the 1% that work for like big like corporate companies and they're on the board and such, right? But most people struggle with their jobs. All right. So I don't like saying things without backing them up. Check out this article. Amazon pays no federal income tax despite soaring profits, right? So Jeff Bezos is one of the wealthiest people on the planet, but him and his company pays no income tax despite soaring profits. So what do you think Jeff Bezos is doing? Well, guys, he's doing what I just showed you in my training. The better question is, how come more Americans don't learn this stuff? Well, it's because we're just not taught how, right? We're not taught how, so we got to look externally, other than the traditional school route, to become educated on how to learn this stuff. Now, I talked about real estate investing. I gave you guys an overview about how you want to learn to become a transactional engineer. Then I did a training on taxes because after today, we want to show you how to start restructuring your relationship with the banks, the corporations, and the government. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about interest, okay? Those who understand interest earn it, and those who don't give it away. I want to teach you guys how to earn it. I love being the bank. Me and my family, we've created our own family bank. And I call it, my name's Umaer, so I named it Bank of Umerica. I love having my own bank. And I want to start showing you guys how you can start thinking like a bank. In fact, if you're hanging out with me tonight and you currently have like a home loan, a student loan, a car loan, put a Y in the chat box. Anyone listening to me currently have a loan that you're paying on? Anyone? Wanda, Judah, Jason. Okay, so you guys have loans. So I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna give you some homework to do, and hopefully you'll do it. But first, I want you to understand how loans work. Okay, all loans are what we call front end loaded. Okay, they're front end loaded, and what are they front end loaded with? Well, they're front end loaded with a lot of interest. Yeah, Fritz, for sure. They're front loaded with a ton of interest, okay? So in the beginning of all of our loans, we pay like month after month after month. The banks gladly hold their hands out and they take a lot of our money in interest. But it's by design. Let me explain this to you. So the Federal Reserve, since the inception of the Federal Reserve, goes up and down, up and down, up and down with the federal funds rate, right? And so what happens is every 5 to 7 years, and you could look at the history, right? Since the 1950s and even before that, every 5 to 7 years, the Fed fiddles around with the interest rates. And when they do that, it triggers the banks to call millions of Americans and say this. In fact, have any of you guys ever got a call like this? It sounds like this. Listen to the psychological conditioning. Congratulations. You have been approved for a lower monthly payment. And so what happens traditionally is Americans do a refinance. And I'm not saying a refinance is good or bad. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary. But did you realize that every single time us Americans do a refinance, like when you do a refinance, the clock on the mortgage note, right? That note that you started paying, the clock on the note begins all over again. So you go right back to the portion of the loan where you're paying these banks a boatload of interest, right? I told my parents this. I said, guys, unconsciously, the majority of Americans are just renting the American dream. We just have to start waking up to why they call it the American dream in the first darn place. And then I'm going to do a little bit of an etymology lesson. I love words, and I feel like if we pay attention to things, they're clues. They're clues and insight into how we're getting taken advantage of, right? It's called a 30-year immortized note. Immortized, immortized. The key word in the word immortized is more, right? When you get a loan, you end up paying 2, 3, even 4 times as much as that loan's original amount was, right? So if you got a $300,000 loan at, for example, 6% interest, by the time you're done paying that loan, you would have paid close to $900,000 for that $300,000 loan. Isn't that crazy? I think it's crazy. I think it's nonsense, right? And think about this. I looked up the word mortgage one night. If you look up the word mortgage in like a thesaurus, mortgage means it means death pledge. Like, what? The word mortgage means death pledge. And I really thought about this. I was like, where are all of us gonna go when we die? Isn't it called the morgue? Morgue. I just thought that was super interesting, right? It's crazy. So I say all of this to say a lot of our hard-earned money like is just going to the banks. In fact, does anyone hanging out with me tonight, do you guys want to guess what is the number one asset for the United States federal government? What do you guys think it is? What do you guys think is the number one asset for the United States federal government? Any takers? Yes. Samuel on the button, dude. Yeah, the number one asset, and you guys can Google this. The number one asset for the United States federal government is student loans. So you really start to wake up to why it's like, go to school, get a job, get a degree. Go to school, get a job, get a degree. Or I'm sorry, go to school, get a degree, get a job. My dyslexia, right? So here's the promise I want to make you guys. If you're coachable, you'll do this, but this is the promise I want to make you. If you have any type of loan right now, we're going to introduce you to a strategy where you can wipe out all of your amortized debt fast, where you don't have to wait 30 years, and you're going to be able to do this without changing your current budget. Okay. And if you make it to the end of my training today, we'll give you a free training that'll show you how to do this. I've used the same training to pay off 24 properties in 3.5 years. You can thank me later. Now, this is the homework I want you to do. So make sure you get access to that free training. And yeah, keep me accountable for everything I say today. I love people. I love creating good relationships because the more people I help, the more money I end up making because I have more friends to do business with, right? So this is the homework I'd like for you to do. Number one, if you put a Y in my chat box and you said you had a loan, right now on your smartphone, download a mortgage calculator. If you don't have one, just download a mortgage calculator. And then look up what your loan terms are. And then I want you to put the loan terms in a mortgage calculator. Okay. And then inside of that mortgage calculator, there's going to be a section that shows amortization. Because I want you to see the thousands of dollars that you're giving up before I show you how to put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. I mean, this is going to be awesome. I use this to like help retire my parents, mixed along with some other real estate investing strategies. Like there's so many things available that a lot of people just have no idea about. Okay. So let's do an overview. We gave you a 30,000-foot view of the game of real estate investing. Remember that? Then we talked about taxes because it's going to be the biggest expense that you pay as an American. And now I'm talking a little bit more about interest. And I want to help you make money, not just give it away. All right. So this is a pie chart, right? I talked a lot and I gave you guys examples. This is a pie chart showing what most Americans pay in tax, time, and interest. Someone says, can you explain the refinance part again? Yeah, let me do that. So like the Federal Reserve Bank continues to keep the federal funds rate at different rates, right? It's like the federal funds rate might be 5%. Because what banks do, banks don't even lend their own money. Banks borrow money from the Federal Reserve at the federal funds rate. Then they take that money and they lend it out to ordinary people like us. Okay. So people will get into a home loan. Let's just say they get into let's just say a $500,000 loan, right? And let's just say it's at maybe when they got the loan because of what was happening in the economy, the loan was at 7% interest, right? That's kind of like what loans are at now. But then, so now let's say you're paying on this $500,000 property month after month after month because it's one payment that has principal and interest. Okay. Now you're paying, but then let's just say the rates drop to 5%, right? And right when the rates drop, banks go on a fury contacting people and they say, hey, do you want a lower monthly payment? Do you want a lower monthly payment? Because Americans are conditioned to think in 30-day increments, all right? So the banks will call you and say, hey, do you want to refinance? It'll drop your payment by $200. And Americans get so excited. They're like, oh my God, a lower monthly payment? And so what they'll do is they'll get Americans to do a refinance. And when you do a refinance, and it's basically starting a new loan. So you go right back to the portion of the loan that you're paying the banks nothing but interest. I hope that made sense. And I have no idea how to pronounce your name. It's probably some exotic name, but I have no idea how to say that. But I wanted you to understand the game, all right? The game. Now, and I'm not saying refinancing is bad. It's necessary, but you got to understand what's happening so then you can start deploying strategies to get rich. I feel like every American deserves the opportunity to get rich. I love being wealthy, right? It's like life is so much better than when I was broke and I had no money. Terry says, yes, that's how I was done on a personal loan. Yeah, that's how all loans work. Except after today, we're going to start restructuring some things. All right. So I was showing you guys this. Now, this is a pie chart explaining how most Americans' money works, right? Now, we've already kind of acknowledged that at least a third of your hard-earned money, guys, it's going to these banks in interest, and they love it. Now, if you're only working a job, and I'm not making anyone feel bad about having a job, if you love what you do, more power to you. But if you're working only a job and you don't have investments and you're not getting into this investing thing, if you're working only a job, your job is taking anywhere from 33 to 40% of your paycheck before you get to see it, depending on your tax bracket. So the obstacle, even if you make $250,000 a year at your job, the obstacle is this. Americans are left with just a third of the money that they earn. But here's the problem. Most Americans don't believe they make enough in the first darn place. Okay, so this creates a repetitive cycle of working for the man, paying bills, and being broke. And so if this is what your finances are similar to, when I say I get it, I mean it. But this is what we want to help you shift to, all right? Now, remember when I did my tax training, when I showed the $900,000 minus the eight whatever, right? And I only paid tax on what was left over. Now, as a new business owner, as a new investor, as we start showing you how to create revenue, guys, you're only going to pay a little bit of interest in taxes. And like I do, you're going to start living off of most of the money that you bring in. And if you have a job right now and you it's a W-2 job, that's okay because your business income is going to offset what you make at your W-2. And I just want everybody paying less in taxes, right? It's not fair. They developed the IRS codes and rules and regulations for business owners, right? You ever wonder why presidents and politicians never want to disclose their tax returns? It's not because they're good or bad, guys, but they're millionaires. They have assets. They make money, but they're broke on paper. In your first week hanging out with me, I want to show you how to be broke on paper. Right? It's fun. It's fun. All right. Tucci Opara. I'm at work right now. What are you doing listening to this at work, man? He says, I'm at work right now. It's hilarious. All right. So a little bit about me, guys. My name's Umair. I was born and raised in Virginia, went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and then I was actually going to community college when I stumbled upon real estate investing. I wrestled in high school. I was an athlete. I hated sitting in class memorizing stuff just to take a test where I was going to forget everything that I memorized a month after I memorized it. And so I originally got into real estate investing from like the University of YouTube. I was on Bigger Pockets. I would buy these little programs, like $2,000 here, $500 there. And information just didn't do it. I didn't need information. I needed coaching, I needed mentorship, and I needed implementation, right? Half of the things I say today, you guys aren't going to remember. And so I was going to community college, paying $350 a credit, and I think I needed 60 or 70 credits to get my associate's degree. And I just remember thinking to myself, this this process is not going to work. It's not going to work. And so I was living with my mom and dad at the time in their basement. I was 26 years old, and I was like, man, I'm struggling. And then, like, I got taken advantage of a few times. I got my butt handed to me, just not knowing, not understanding. And then I found like this mentorship group and the team. Like, I'll show you everything I did. If you want to copy it, be my guest. If you don't, everyone's on their own journey, right? But we will definitely give you some direction if you want it. So just a little bit about me. This is my wife, Yas, and she didn't always believe in investing in business. But this is what I told her. I said, honey, your job is going to cost our family way too much money in the long run. And so a number of years ago, my wife quit her job. We traveled the world, and then we created this cute thing. This is my baby girl, Sophia. And I grew up, I'm a foreigner. My family's from Pakistan. My mom and dad worked until they were old and gray just to find out that they weren't going to have enough money. And so I said, if we're going to bring life to this planet, we're going to give it a good life. So my daughter's going to be 2 in August, and I'm just grateful. And I would love to just stay connected with other like-minded people that want to move in the same direction. Okay. I've done some pro boxing and some mixed martial arts. Believe it or not, I got punched in the face for a living. And it wasn't that much money. So oh man, it's crazy. So anyways, guys, enough about me. Today is not about me. It's about you. I just wanted you to know who I am. I'm more than happy to give you my contact information if you want to stay connected. I fought in the 140 and the 135 pound weight class. You can look up some of my fights if you look up Umaer Haq on YouTube. I won some, I lost some. It wasn't something I was passionate about, but when you're struggling for money, you'll do anything sometimes, right? So, all right, let's move. So I want to just share with you a little bit more about the numbers that Americans are really facing right now, right? I call this the financial pandemic, okay? Most of us were taught go to school, get a degree, get a job, and retire one day, someday off of a nest egg. Guys, that doesn't work unless you can prove me otherwise. Let me show you this example. Let's say you can retire now and somehow live off of $10,000 a month, meaning basically you're going to take a distribution of $10,000 every month to live off of, okay? And let's say you believe you're going to live 20 years after the day you retire, right? Well, guys, mathematically, you would need a little over $3.4 million in your employer-sponsored retirement account to take a distribution of 10 grand a month for 20 years. Now, my friends, I meet people in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. They don't have $500,000 in their retirement account. And so most people are just doing the wrong thing. And so I want you guys to actually take a look at what you have in your retirement. Take a look at how much goes into your retirement every pay period, and then just do the math. Do the math of how much you anticipate being there. I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be enough. Okay? It's not going to be enough, guys. So I want you to write this down, program it into your subconscious mind. Say, I am going to create a cash flow based retirement plan, not a nest egg, rather a chicken farm, okay? A chicken farm. I want you to have a bunch of chickens that are going to lay eggs in the form of cash flow for you and your family to live off of, okay? So I'm going to create a cash flow based retirement plan. And if you guys want to follow what I've done and what other investors in our group are doing, um, you can just copy it, right? Success leaves clues. All right, so I'm going to do a quick training on mindset. Mindset is such a big part of being a business owner that I've got to cover it, guys. So there are four currencies that you're going to use to do your deals, that you're going to leverage when you're structuring projects. All right. Now, there are four currencies that I live my life by, and these four currencies are number one is money. Okay. You guys agree money's a currency, right? Duh. You take $5 to Mickey D's, you might get a sandwich. You can't even get a whole meal nowadays. Went to McDonald's the other day and I spent like 20 bucks. I was like, whoa, 20 bucks at Mickey D's. Isn't that crazy? But money's a currency, right? But did you guys know that time's a currency? My friends, if we've got 6 months left to live, what's going to be worth more to all of us? A boatload of money or doing the things that we want to do with the people we want to do them with? I would say time is a currency, okay? Now, what about knowledge? When I first got into flipping or business or any of this real estate stuff, I didn't know what I didn't know because I was psychologically programmed to do what everyone else was doing, right? Knowledge is definitely a currency. Like, who gets paid more, customer service representative or a doctor? Obviously, a doctor, right? So, money's a currency, time is a currency, knowledge is a currency, and then relationships. Guys, this is a big one. Why do you think I'm here talking to you? I would love to build a lifelong relationship with you. I've met some amazing people. I've got some great friends that I've made through this process, right? But think about this, like your relationship with Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, your FICO scores, they really dictate what you can and can't do a lot of times, right? So these are the four currencies: money, time, knowledge, and relationships. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to compare these four currencies and how an American with a typical mindset looks at these and how an American with a wealthy mindset looks at these. And guys, I just want to help you make a mindset shift today. All right. Now, for most Americans, and correct me if I'm wrong, money is the reason why they do or don't do things, right? So it was for me and it was for my dad. My dad gave up all of his time for a little bit of money, which ultimately was taxed heavily. And I broke that down to you on my tax training. Here's the question. Are you giving up all of your time for a little bit of money, which is taxed heavily? Maybe. And I want to teach you to stop that. As a new business owner, as a new real estate investor, I want you to start looking at money as the tool. Okay. You got to leverage money. And it doesn't always have to be your money. It could be the bank's money. It could be private investors' money. But you want to start looking at money as the tool and time is the reason. You only live once, right? Like I'm 36 now. I started in this business when I was at 25, but 10, 11 years have gone by in a snap of a finger, right? It's just crazy. Now knowledge, okay? Where I used to think knowledge was a burden, I hated learning. I'm not good at memorizing things, but if someone like if a real estate investor will give me action steps, I can say yes, sir, and follow. Does that make sense? In America, we're taught to that knowledge is a burden. And it makes sense, right? Like, think about this. We all go to school for 8 hours, and then we used to get 30 minutes of recess. And then as we became adults in America, we were forced to go to work for 8 hours, and we'll be lucky if we get an hour break. This is psychological warfare on Americans, and I just don't think it's fair. I think that we should work together, have each other's back, and create abundance in our lives. So instead of looking at knowledge as a burden, guys, you got to start loving to learn. I love learning. In fact, when we meet each other, you might teach me some things that I don't know. I will be forever grateful. All right, let's talk about relationships. This is a big one. Where most Americans see relationships from a competitive realm, I do not. And you should not either, right? Sometimes people meet me and they're like, what do you want from me? Like, what are you trying to sell me? Right? And they're like, it's just so interesting. They're like, if I knew what you knew, doesn't that make me your competition, Umair? I'm like, no, no. And it makes sense that people think that way because jobs are a lot like pyramid schemes. You ever heard of these pyramid schemes? Well, in a pyramid scheme, the people at the top get paid the most, AKA our bosses, right? Your boss gets paid more than you, right? There's all these departments. And if you and I had the same job, what sucks is we would have to compete for a 1% raise that neither one of us could get rich off of. But they make it that way, right? It's by design, okay? It's by design. I don't want to compete with a single soul on the line tonight. I'd rather just collaborate, right? Like if you know I'm flipping and I know you're flipping, if my pipeline is full and I just don't have time to do another deal, what if I just gave it to Jim? Hey Jim, here's the deal, dude. Now I'm not gonna just give you something because nothing's free in life, but maybe I wholesale Jim this deal. Like I made 10 grand by wholesaling Jim this deal. But if Jim goes out and makes 50 G's on a deal that I wholesaled him, I'm pretty sure we'll end up being tight. We'll build a relationship, right? Now, Jim might come back to me and say, Umair, that deal went great. You got another one? Here's the key. I may or may not have another flip for Jim, but I can say, dude, I don't have another fix and flip, but I've got this 50 unit apartment building. Would you like to be an equity partner or a debt partner on my next apartment building deal? In other words, Jim, you want to play Monopoly? Right? Like, let's just do stuff together, right? But this isn't how people think. People are so selfish. And it took me some time to realize that. What happens, and it's by design, even if you didn't want to be, you couldn't help it. Most people just value this thing called money, right? Well, I want to say this. Money is just a byproduct of value. And guys, as you build a relationship with us, we want to teach you how to become an investor that provides value to the marketplace. Now, this is what happened with me. When I was broke, I got committed to my knowledge, okay? My knowledge helped me to build good relationships. When I had knowledge and relationships, I started flipping houses for bigger money. And when I started making bigger money, the most important currency opened up for me, guys, and that's time. Okay. I would argue that time is the most valuable, but knowledge is the most important. Okay. So I just want you to restructure the way you look at things because where focus goes, energy flows. And if you start focusing on the good things in life, good things will start happening. All right, I'm done with the mindset stuff. But when you're doing deals, I don't want you to, like, if it's $1 million deal and you don't have cash in your bank, that doesn't mean that you can't do the deal. You can absolutely do the deal. In fact, I'm about to show you guys momentarily. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about deal structure. Okay. Now, this is a 6 unit apartment building. This is the deal that helped me realize that I could become wealthy in real estate. This is the deal that helped me realize this is my buddy's deal, by the way, but this is the deal that changed my life. Hopefully, it's the deal that changes yours. This is a 6 unit apartment building, all right? When my buddy acquired this apartment building, it had a value of $400,000, okay? Now, guys, just because a property has a value of $400,000 does not mean you have to buy it for $400,000. In fact, the real estate investor who acquired this apartment building, he was able to purchase this property and fix it up at a deep discount. Okay. Now he bought this and fixed it up for just $246,000. And as you get to know us better, we're going to start showing you how to find great off-market deals. Now, guys, when you buy properties at a discount, right when you sign that agreement, as soon as you sign on the dotted lines, what you're going to do is you're going to learn to create equity, or another word for equity is wealth. Okay. When you learn to buy properties at a discount, you can walk into deals wealthy day one. Now, let me show you this example. So when the real estate investor bought this for 246, but it was actually worth 400, as soon as he bought it, he was $154,000 more rich than he was before he signed the agreement. Does that make sense? In real estate, you can learn to buy properties at a discount and you can get rich just by buying the properties right. Okay. Now, why is equity so important to understand, guys? Well, in America, what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to borrow against the equity that you created by buying the property at a discount, right? You could literally borrow against the equity to go out and create more money. What I'm trying to help you guys understand is this. Wealthy people use debt to get rich, where the average American doesn't understand debt enough and they end up getting buried in it. Okay. All right, let's move on. So it's 6-unit apartment building. And if you have questions about equity or any of the things that I'm talking about, just ask. I will do my best to answer. Maybe some of this is going over your head. I'm not certain. I just have to be mindful for everyone here. So this is a 6-unit apartment building. Each unit rents out for $1,000, let's just say. All right. So this building produces $6,000 of revenue, right? Now, with all of the real estate that you purchase and all the deals that you do, every deal is different, right? So in this example, the building was producing $6,000 of income, but it had $4,000 of expenses. Now, what are some expenses that you're going to incur in real estate? Well, there is taxes, there is insurance, property management, mortgage payments, right? Those are all expenses. So this one project had $6,000 of income, but $4,000 of expenses. But the reason I fell in love with real estate is the cash flow. The cash flow. I currently live off of the cash flow that my real estate investments produce. We currently have 79 properties that pay us on the 1st and 15th of every month. Now, this property produces $2,000 of cash flow every single month. Isn't that awesome? That's why I fell in love with real estate. It could replace your paycheck when you do this correctly, okay? Now, remember the 4 currencies, guys: money, time, knowledge, and relationships. Well, let's talk about how those 4 currencies relate to you in doing business, all right? Now, the real estate investor whose deal this is, he used his knowledge currency to negotiate this property and buy it at a deep discount. So he used his intelligence. And by buying this property, right, he walked into the deal $154,000 more wealthy, okay? Now, because he structured this deal correctly, after all expenses, this apartment building is producing the investor $2,000 of monthly income every single month. So what the investor did is he had money sitting in a savings account devaluing because of inflation. So instead of letting it rot away in his savings account, he got this property under contract and he went to his favorite bank. And he said, "Hey, Mr. Banker, will you finance me this deal?" So the banker looked at the deal and he said, "You know what? This is a good deal. If you put $50,000 down, we will finance $196,000 of this deal." Okay. So the investor was like, instead of letting it devalue in my savings account, I'm going to position my money in this deal. I didn't say spend money, I said position money. So the real estate investor put 50 grand down, right? Because he's not spending it, it's just placed in the transaction, it's not gone. The bank financed 196. Now, if this one building has a monthly cash flow of $2,000 a month, in 12 months, this one building produces a $24,000 passive income stream. Not bad. You might need some more of those before you retire, but 24 grand a year after all expenses, okay? Now, guys, if the property makes $24,000 a year in cash flow, and if the real estate investor puts $50,000 of his or her own money, this is what we call a 48% cash on cash return. All my beginners, I want you to really understand this. As you start looking at deals, I want you to make sure that you have a positive cash on cash return, okay? Now, all this means, guys, is if the real estate investor puts $50,000 of his own money down, and you don't always have to use your own money, we're going to talk about that. But if the real estate investor puts $50,000 of his own money down, and the property brings in $24,000 of cash flow in 12 months, then I want you to understand this. $24,000 is 48% of the 50 grand that the investor put down, right? And so this is understanding basic cash on cash return. Cool. Now, when I saw this deal and I was in my early 20s, I was like, man, this is so easy for someone with a good job and maybe some savings to say. But what about someone who doesn't have a lot of money and someone who doesn't have decent credit? Well, what I'm going to show you guys next, if you want to see it, I hope you guys are still with me. This cough. I'm going to show you how people in our group, I'm going to show you how deals can be done with none of your own money and none of your own credit. I want you guys to start learning about deal structure today. So if you want to see how deals can be done with no money and no credit, put a Y in the chat box. Depending on how many Ys I get, I'll cover it. Because if not, I'll just kind of get done quickly, right? I mean, if you're walking your dog and you're feeding your cat, you're driving, like, let's see. Let me check the chat box. Because, I'm here for you guys, right? I at least want you to get something out of today. Okay, Samuel, Gene, Jim, Terry. Okay, so if you haven't noticed, we have a mastermind going on right now on the other side of my Zoom meeting. But what our group does and what our communities that we're building everywhere, what we do is we get together every week, both in person and online. Okay. And we do these mastermind groups on like fixing and flipping, on apartment buildings, on tax liens, on Airbnb. Because remember, there are many, many ways that you can make money and get rich in real estate. So we do these mastermind groups. So let's just imagine we're in one of our mastermind groups right now. And I'll use you guys as an example. I'll use I'll use J for Gene. I'll use 3 people. Let's say Gene's a part of our mastermind group. And for this example, Gene, you're broke. Gene has no money and no credit. All right. But let's say Gene's been, hanging out with us, working with us, building a relationship with us. So Gene, let's just say she gets this 6-unit building under contract. And all that means, guys, is Gene's got like a paper contract. And let's say she meets with the owners of this 6-unit building. Let's give them a name. Let's call them Mr. and Mrs. Smith. All right. And Mr. and Mrs. Smith are a little bit older. Let's say they've had this building for years. They don't have anyone to pass this building on to. And you know what the Smiths want to do, guys? They want to sell this 6-unit building quick for cash. They don't want to deal with a real estate agent. They don't want to pay closing costs. They just want to be done with it. And Gene has built a relationship with the Smiths. So Gene tells the Smiths that he'll buy it. Okay. So what Gene does is he gets the building under contract. Okay. And let's say he gets the building under contract for $246,000, right? The same amount that my buddy got it under contract for. And all that means, guys, is Gene signed the agreement, the Smiths signed the agreement. After both parties sign the contract, then the contract goes to a title company or an attorney to ensure a clean transaction. And let's just say Gene put in his agreement that he needs 60 days to close. Okay. So Gene's excited. He's nervous. He goes, oh my God, I just got my first deal under contract, right? But remember, Gene does not have any of his own money or credit. So last couple of weeks, Gene has been building relationships. And let's use E for Edward. And let's say Gene and Edward have become friends. He's been hanging out with our group. He's been building relationships. And so Gene remembers Edward saying that he had money sitting in his savings account. But let's say Edward is a married person, has kids, has a wife, has a full-time job. But Edward realizes that he's never going to get rich off of a 1% raise working for the man. So as a side gig, Edward's been learning real estate investing. But Edward, he just hasn't had the time to find a great deal. So Gene comes to the weekly mastermind group and he doesn't ask for money from Edward. That's not how it works, guys. He just shows Edward the deal. Edward's looking over the numbers, he's looking at the deal, and he goes, man, dude, I am so jealous. I've been so busy with work and family, I haven't had the time to find a deal like this. And this is when Gene says this. Well, Edward, I've got a proposition for you. Edward, if you put the $50,000 down that you and I both will need to do this deal together. Edward, we can do a joint venture agreement. If you put the 50 grand down, I'm willing to give up a piece of the monthly cash flow. I'm willing to give you $500 every single month on top of the 50 if you want a joint venture with me. And we teach people how to do proper joint ventures to where everyone wins. And so Edward's like, let me talk to my wife. I mean, I want to do my first deal. This isn't a great deal for me, but I would still get experience, right? So Edward talks to his wife and they decide yes. So these two, they've got a deal locked in. Yes. Now, let's say the bank pulls Gene and Edward's credit, but let's say their credit sucks. These guys, they like shopping at Nordstrom's more than they should. So in our group, guys, we have beginner investors, like a lot of you guys tonight, and we have advanced investors. So let's say Gene and Edward go to Samuel. And maybe Samuel's an investor in a group that they look up to. Samuel's done a ton of deals. And so the bank is about to turn Gene and Edward down because their credibility is not as good as they thought it was. All right. So Gene goes to Samuel and he goes, Samuel, can you help us get this deal to the closing table? And Samuel's like, maybe. What value can you give me in order for me to help you by letting you use my credit? And so Gene says, well, Samuel, what if I gave you the same thing I gave to Edward? I'll give you $500 every single month. It'll come out of the cash flow that this building's already producing. And Samuel's like, look, Gene, I like you, dude, but $500 a month to use my credibility with the banking industry, no bueno. It's not good enough. And so he's asking Gene to make this sexier. He goes, man, I like you, but not that much. So this is what Gene proposes, right? Because I'm trying to help you guys learn how to think. Gene says, well, Samuel, what if I gave up half of the $154,000 of equity that I walked into the deal with? Like, I'll give you half. Because there are different ways that attorneys can structure who gets what in any given deal. So Samuel goes, I didn't have to do any work. This deal landed in my lap. I get instant cash flow. I get instant equity, and all you need is my signature. All right, Gene, I'm game. I'm game. So Samuel puts in his credit, okay? Now, hypothetically speaking, let's just say these three investors, let's say they go out and create a three-member LLC. Let's call it JES, J, Gene, Edward, Samuel, LLC, right? They go out and they create a three-member LLC, all right? And let's say this three-member LLC, with their powers combined, this three-member LLC, it buys the 6-unit building from Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now, guys, look at all of the win-win situations that can be created by respecting the four currencies instead of just trying to do everything by yourself. Remember the four currencies: money, time, knowledge, and relationships? Look what just happened by having a wealthy mindset and not a typical mindset, all right? Now, the Smiths are happy because they got to sell this property quick for cash and they're done with it. They moved on. They went to the beach. Now, Samuel's happy because he just added another great deal to his portfolio and he didn't have to do any work. Edward's happy because he got some experience on his first deal and he got to put his stagnant money to work. But Gene put in the legwork, right? Gene is the happiest. Gene just did his first apartment building deal with none of his own money, with none of his own credit. And after everything's said and done, look, Gene is still making $1,000 of passive income every single month after all expenses. Are you guys getting this? You got to really start putting the connections together. This is why we're creating communities of real estate investors who can support each other every week. And you know what? If we don't have a community in your backyard now, you might be the talent that we're looking for to help us plant our flag in that market. We're looking for entrepreneurs. We're looking for people who want to be real estate investors with the business model that I'm trying to break down with you guys today. Does this make sense, guys? If you're getting this, put a Y in the chat box. If you're not getting this, let me know. Because sometimes I go into explanation mode and I just lose people. I just lose people. Okay, cool. I'm glad you guys are getting this. We can do way more together than we could ever do solo. This is why I do so many deals, right? I'm doing so many deals. It's freaking awesome. I love making money. Then my money makes money. We're going on a big, we're going to the Dominican Republic next month, me and a bunch of investors in our group. And hopefully, as you get to know us, like, let's go on vacation together. Like, it's going to be so cool because we're going to be at a resort, talking business, having fun, and the whole trip's going to be a tax deduction. That's what I call living, right? That's what I call living. Okay, let's throw a trick question in here. Let's just say 6 months down the road. Remember Edward gave the 50 grand? What if Edward has a family emergency and he really needs his 50 G's back? What is something that we could do to help Edward get his money back? I mean, technically speaking, whatever's in the LLC operating agreement, that's what the business would go by. But as you get to know me and other investors in our group, we just take care of each other, right? The more we take care of each other, I mean, if we take care of Edward now, he'll just do more business with us in the future. Duh. If Edward needs his 50 grand back, what could we do to cash him out? Who knows the answer? Anybody? What could we do to cash out Edward? No one knows the answer here? Yeah. That's good. I like that. Okay, cool. Little people are thinking. Yeah, this is a good example of when the three-member LLC would do like a cash out refinance, right? So refinances aren't always bad. Okay, let's move on. So, yeah, you could buy out percentages of his shares. Those are good. Those are good ideas. I like where you guys are going with it. So, guys, after hearing everything today, do you guys want to keep trying to save your money? Or do you want to actually start learning how to control your money? It's going to be. Guys, you want to start learning how to control your life and your money because if you don't control it, someone else will, right? Now, if the true rate of inflation is between, if we're only getting 1 to 4% in our CDs or savings accounts, but the true rate of inflation, I don't care what the Fed says, right? The true rate of inflation is between 5 to 7%. We feel it when we're buying stuff, right? You don't want to, savers are ultimately losers, guys. You can never beat inflation. Like I meet people and they're like, Umair, I'm just gonna save my money until I can buy what I want. I'm like, dude, that's not smart. By the time you save money to buy what you want, the thing that you want is going to cost 3 times more. Don't be a dummy. Be an investor. Okay. Now, I want you to write this down. Write this word down, ideal. IDEAL. It is an acronym. Please write it down. Okay. If anyone ever asked you why you decided to become a real estate investor, I want you to give them this training. Guys, let's compare real estate to like the stock market or anything else, The way other investments work, guys, is you got to take your hard-earned money and you're going to put it into the investment, and then you're going to hope and pray that that investment goes up in value. I don't know about you guys, but I stopped smoking hopium. I don't smoke hopium. I don't smoke opium. I don't smoke anything. But I stopped smoking that stuff a long time ago, right? You cannot hope for a result. I want you to be a logic-based, numbers-driven investor, okay? With most other investments, you'll put money in and then you'll hope it appreciates. The reason you're going to want to choose becoming a real estate investor is this. It is the ideal investment strategy. The I stands for income. Regardless of what strategies make sense for you and your personality, real estate's going to produce income for you, okay? The D stands for deductions or depreciation, right? The E stands for equity. Guys, you're not going to save your way to become a millionaire and you're not going to work a job to become a millionaire. But is it possible for you to close your way to millionaire status just by buying properties at discounts? Abso-freaking-lutely, right? So you get income deductions, equity appreciation, and then the L doesn't just stand for love. It stands for leverage. Guys, you got to start learning how to use leverage. Leverage your credit, leverage other people's money, leverage relationships, leverage the time that you have. Doesn't always have to be money that you leverage, right? So if anyone asks you, why are you becoming a real estate investor? Or why have you started working with other real estate investors? You tell them that it's the ideal investment strategy. Cool? Cool. Now, I just want to give you examples of people that I've literally met the same way that I'm meeting you. All right. These are just screenshots of what they have said on their Facebook page. Candace, retired military, right? Um, she retired because she was injured, but she actually found our group while she was in the hospital bed. We have lived in our home a little less than a year. I've used a technique to pay down my 30-year mortgage and save a ton of money on the interest. As of last night, I have saved $78,000 of interest, and I have paid off more than 6 years of principal without changing my income. Okay, that's the key, without changing my income. Just using this technique. You guys, man, you're lucky. We're going to give you the technique for free 99. Congratulations. Okay, free 99. How do you like that? Now, if you want some help implementing the technique, if you want some mentorship, if you want to have your hand held through your first deal or two, that costs money. Our group does have some paid mentorship, and I'll show it to you. Nothing's being sold tonight, but we have some paid mentorship that you can take advantage of. Like I did. I mean, I'm not your coach or your guru. I have done everything that I would recommend that you guys do if you want to be a part of our group. So take a look at this fix and flip. This is from another military couple. I have a lot of military people here in Virginia, but they bought this property for 60 grand. They put $72,000 into this, working with a hard money lender in our group. We have everything someone will need to be successful. And they sold this for $225,000, yielding them a $63,000 profit. Like real estate doesn't create little dividends like $3, right? It creates some pretty significant amounts of money if you know what you're doing. So I want to introduce you to Keith and LaFay Jones. I met them. They were retiring from the Army. And I'll never forget this. They said, Umair, we want to do this because we can't give our military career to our children. And I said, powerful. So what are you going to do about it? They said, we're going to become real estate investors. And we've been friends ever since. This is my friend Alvin, and he's with Gary Vee. I listen to some Gary Vee stuff, but he goes, I'm 26 years old. I got good grades, got into a great college, and I did everything I was supposed to do. And I ended up working at Chipotle rolling burritos. Exactly 2 years ago, I found this community of real estate investors that taught me everything I need to know to make a change. Today, I own 84 rentals, and I make my annual Chipotle salary in 1 month's rental income. And Alvin built his wealth, and you'll get to meet these people. You'll get to meet me. Alvin did his thing through apartment building investing, right? He owns 1,000 units now, right? This is an older slide, but I'm so proud to be able to have friends like this. Now, I didn't use apartment buildings. I own a few mobile home parks. I do money lending, and I love doing seller financing on residential houses. So, but when there's a will, there's a way, right? What we do, guys, is we do property tours in person, and we do property tours on our students' deals every single week. And you're actually invited to some of our property tours. In fact, I can't wait till you do deals, because if you're nice enough, you'll allow us to showcase you while you're talking about how you're making money on your deal. Like, check this out. This is a junior level investor in our group. His name is Daniel. And this is a senior level investor in our group. His name is Ed Kirch. And Ed helped Daniel close on this 48 unit apartment building. And this is the closing table. And these are some other students, right? Because what we do is very hands-on type of stuff. Okay. But you are invited to our next property tour. We're having one this Saturday at 11 a.m. live on Zoom, and we're also having some in person. All right. And I'll give you some directions on how to take advantage of coming to some of those deal tours. Now, another quick disclaimer, guys, because I want to be transparent. Our group does not guarantee any level of money, success, or lifestyle from using our process or our systems or our tools or our education. All of the testimonies are unique to each person, and your results will vary, and they will vary depending on several factors, including your starting point, effort, and resources. Okay. Yeah. So I want to introduce you to my rich dad. You guys ever read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? This is my rich dad. His name's Bob. And he changed my life. And so he created these, he said, instead of just, there's people going town to town selling stuff, instead of just selling information or just selling coaching, why don't we create real estate investor ecosystems built for locals by locals, powered by one centralized education source? Okay. So I just want to show you what I did. And if this is something you want to do, we will coach you and help you build your plan. Because remember, everyone is different. After this meeting, I'll give you some directions on how we can get to know you and how we can see if we can help you build a plan. But this is the group's website. You can write this down. It's myrenatus.com, myrenatus.com. And if you're on my free training right now, you can actually go to this website and create a free login. Just go to the website and hit forgot password. What Renatus has is they have 90 classes taught by 40 practitioner instructors. All right. And basically, like, my whole motto is this, like, my mentors could be your mentors, and then we could all just make money, right? And if you don't live where I live, that's even better because it's allowing all of us to do deals in different markets. Isn't that cool? I think it is. I think it's very cool. All right, so our group builds local communities of real estate investors who help support each other succeed. And I want to help you guys win, right? Now, they offer one-on-one coaching and mentorship. Like, to get my first deal done, I did a fix and flip for my first deal. I'm not saying that has to be your first deal. But on my first deal, I made $46,000 because I had a coach hold my hand through the process. And if you want a coach, you can pay for one. And if you don't have money, we have some ways that you guys can make money. I want you to write this down, guys. Our group has an earn while you learn program. We are not going to make anyone feel bad because they are broke. I showed you it's not your fault. It's the system. But if you're willing to hustle, we can help get you on the right side of things, right? We also have a proprietary software that helps us find deals, helps us, like, I can do real estate from anywhere in the globe. So I'm not tied to any location because of some of our systems, processes, and tools. And you're going to want to learn a little bit more about our investor operating system. But again, we do have a paid mentorship that I did, and now I get to tell other people about, which I think is pretty awesome. Now, what the group offers is VIP access to a coach and in-person training, weekly study groups and mastermind sessions, property tours where we're not just saying stuff, we're showing stuff. And to top it off, instead of just wanting to take money from people, we have an earn while you learn program. And I just think it's amazing. I'm so grateful that I found this group. Now, their classes and their mentorship does cost money. And I want to say this, I'm going to put this out there. It cost anywhere from $400 all the way to $26,000. Now, I didn't really have any of my own money. So I did a one-on-one personalized complimentary strategy session with one of the investors in the group. And they showed me how I could invest $26,000 without spending any of my own money. So they showed me how to become an investor in this group with none of my own money or credit. But their programs, right, for transparency's sake, are anywhere from $399 all the way up to $26,000. I'm going to say this. I would never, ever want anyone to invest a dime uh, that they were, at risk of losing. That is not our intention with this. But to build the infrastructure, to pay the mentors that are doing this, and to pay people for some of our affiliate programs, they had to put a cost to this. But they have an earn while you learn program. Now, if you want to get paid, we have some opportunities for you to start earning money working from home in your spare time. So maybe you're just looking for a side gig. I got you. All right. And I'm gonna give all of you guys the bonuses for being here today. And we're also gonna give you directions on next steps. But I want you to understand this. Any money that you invest on mentorship, on education, and on building a partnership with myself in this group, I want you to get this, right? Even though I just explained the game to you, any money that you invest is going to be a 100% business tax deduction. Isn't that cool? So basically, the IRS will pay you back. Now, even if you got started like immediately, any money that you invest we have like a 7-day free trial period. Trust me, we don't want you hanging out with this team if you're living in scarcity and afraid, right? That's not our MO here. Now, we do have ways that people can get started with lots of creative funding options as far as the mentorship and the coaching. Now, even if our team doesn't make sense for you, I hope that you guys got some value by spending some time with me. I've met some people 3 years down the line. They're like, Umair, you don't know this, but you helped me change the trajectory of my life because of your trainings. Okay. Now you're one of three people. I'm gonna make today very, very clear for you. You're a number one. I'm all in. I don't care about the cost and the money. I want to get started with this team and this group. Okay, cool. That's awesome. You're a number two. I'm interested in this process, but I have questions, and that's absolutely fine. Or you're a number three. Thanks. I'm not interested in working with a team. I'm not interested in an environment. I'm not interested in learning or mentorship. And guys, that's fine. Maybe you just came here because you just wanted some insight. Okay. Now, if you are, what you're going to do is you're going to contact the person who gave you the Zoom link to my free training, and you're just going to tell them, hey, I'm a number one, I'm a number two, or I'm a number three. In the staff, the team, the group, we will take care of you. Now, guys, if you are a number one or a number two, meaning you want to get started with our team and group, or you have questions, you can schedule a complimentary strategy session. And these are the things that happen in a strategy session. We make sure that you're a good fit for our team. Again, we don't want you spending money at risk that you might lose. We want to discuss your goals because we want to make sure that what we provide matches with what you want to do. We want to help you find the money to get started to join our team. We want to show you how to free up more of your monthly cash flow using some creative techniques and strategies. We want to show you how to make money with us while you're learning to become a real estate investor. And of course, help you to create a plan, right? If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And of course, answer all your questions. Guys, I love this group and team because it's a diversified group of people working together for one common goal. As you start working with our group, you're going to be in business for yourself, just not by yourself. The reason I will continue to do trainings like this till the day that I die is I'm tired of seeing the banks, the corporations, and the governments win by psychological manipulation. And I truly believe that if we start working together, possibilities are endless. Now, I'm going to leave you. I'm officially done with my introductory to real estate investing presentation. I am going to leave you guys with a quick video to check out before you go. Okay. If you're on like Facebook or social media, add me as a friend. My name is Umaer Haq. Here, I'll just show you my Facebook. I'm on Instagram and things like that. You don't need a screenshot. All you need to do to get a complimentary strategy session is contact whoever invited you to my training. Like you came here from like an Eventbrite, or you came here from maybe Meetup, or you came here because one of your friends invited you. Contact them and let them know if you're a number one, a two, or a three. All right. This is my name, Umaer Haq. And I want you guys to watch this video real quick. I think this is we do a big event in Salt Lake City, Utah once a year, and this is the training that we did from last year, where other investors got on stage, thousands of people got on stage, and they talked about who they are and how many deals they've done. Either way, guys, I wish you nothing but love and respect. Thank you for taking the time to invest in yourself, and go out there and take some action. Bye, everybody.
Are you ready for the Real Estate Walk of Fame? What's up, Renatus Nation? What's up, Renatus Nation? Y'all better make some noise. Let's get it rocking.
So we are super excited to be here with y'all. 6 years and 44 deals.
37 deals, including 11 on the same street.
22 real estate transactions, and I've been with Renatus for 5 years.
Oh, I love it. 4 Renatus, 3 deals after Renatus 20. That worked out. Into our 4th deal, so thank you, Bob. 15 deals and just closed 2 days ago on my 15th deal.
Thank you for that.
I've been involved in deals with over 100 properties.
We have 11 transactions, 27 doors, and we actually close on another house next week.
Done 13 deals, and I love Renatus.
We have been with Renatus 6.5 years and have done 48 deals.
I did over 200 deals, and I continue. I'm never going to stop.
Many more deals are coming. I know that for sure. Originally from Kenya,
Originally from Trinidad.
Originally from Russia.
Over 100 transactions, including Philippines. I have done 17 transactions on 6 properties, thanks to Bob. 8 short-term rentals that I'm running, 6 a year and 2 in India.
In 2 years, and we have done 23 transactions, and we're from Mexico.
This is amazing. It's transformational. I've made thousands and thousands of dollars. I've done over 17 deals. But the best thing is that my life has completely changed. My mindset has changed, and I have incredible people around me. And I'm so thankful to be a part of this community.
Absolutely love to see the results that our people are getting. Renatus rocks. Renatus rocks.
Renatus rocks.
All I gotta say is Renatus rocks. 2 more deals.
Renatus rocks.
Renatus rocks.
And Renatus rocks.
I believe Renatus rocks. Does Renatus change lives? Has it changed your life? Oh, there's more to come.